Maybe they'll hear.
They only do what they're asked to do. They're teachers of instruction, like you say.
Immigration Transition Amendment Bill 2020, Clause 1, short title. Clause 2, amendment of Section 8 of the Immigration Transition Law 2018, officers of WORC. Clause 3, amendment of Section 58, consideration of application for work permit by board, etc.
The question is, are
Which one you said?
1 to 3.
are any questions on clauses 1 through 3 that they do stand part of the bill? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. Clauses 1 through 3 stands part of the bill.
Clause 4, amendment of Section 68, offense to engage in gainful occupation or to employ persons in contravention of this part. There's amendments.
Where's the amendment?
Clause 4? Oh, no, sorry.
I know.
Yeah, no, we were just talking
Clause
about, sorry,
5
take
it
it,
is.
take the vote on 4. There's a new clause. Sorry, there's no amendment. Take the vote on
That's
4.
not a new clause. Keep telling
The question is that clause 4 do stand part of the bill. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. Clause 4 do stand part of the bill.
Clause 5, transitional provisions. There's amendments to that.
Premier. Honorable Premier, you have an amendment to that.
So,
Clause 5.
yes, sir.
Yeah. Where do they say?
No, we gotta get to that last.
Where's 5?
That's not clause 4. The nation and the title.
Mr. Chairman, in accordance with the provisions of Standing Order 52(1) and 2, I give notice to move the following amendment to the Immigration Transition Amendment Bill 2020, that the bill be amended in Clause 5 as follows. A, by deleting subclause 2 and substituting the following subclause. 2, where a worker's work permit expired on or after the 27th of March 2020, an employer or self-employed worker was or is unable due to the closure of work as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, A, to make an application for the renewal of the work permit, or B, where the work permit was a temporary work permit, to make an application for the grant of a work permit. The worker shall be deemed not to be committing an offense under the principal law or this amending law by continuing to work on the same terms and conditions of the expired work permit, provided the employer or self-employed worker makes an application for the renewal of the work permit, or in the case of a temporary work permit, an application for the grant of a work permit. Within 30 days of the commencement of this amending law, or within any other period by which this period is extended by Cabinet by notice published in the Gazette, in any other official government website or official means of communication, or any other government media, semicolon, and B, by deleting subclauses 4, 5, and 6, and substituting the following subclauses. 4, if after the expiration of the 30-day period or any other period by which this period has been extended by Cabinet as specified in subsection 2, A work permit renewal application, or B, where the work permit was a temporary work permit, a work permit grant application, has not been received by work, the worker shall not continue to work or to work for that employer, and where the worker continues employment with the employer, both the worker and the employer commit an offense and are liable on summary conviction to a fine of $5,000 or to imprisonment for 1 year or to both. 5, where due to the expiration of the worker's term limit under Section 66 of the law, an employer is unable, as required by subsection 2, to make an application, A, for the renewal of the worker's work permit, or B, where the work permit was a temporary work permit for the grant of a work permit, neither the employer nor the worker shall be deemed to have acted in contravention of the principal law or this amending law if the worker continues to work on the same terms and conditions as the final work permit during the period between the 27th of March 2020 and 90 days after the commencement of this amending law, or any other period by which this period is extended by Cabinet by notice published in the Gazette, in any other official government website or official means of communication or any other government media. 6, where a worker's work permit expires on or after the 27th of March 2020, and the worker's employment with the employer is ended after the expiration without A, the work permit being renewed, or B, in the case of a temporary work permit, without a work permit being granted, neither the employer nor the worker shall be deemed to be in contravention of the principal law or this amending law if the worker continues to work on the same terms and conditions as those in the expired work permit in the period between the expiration and ending of the worker's employment. 7, where a worker's permission to stay in the islands in accordance with Section 66(4) of the law expires on or after the 27th of March 2020, and B, the worker's application under Section 37 or any appeal in respect of such an application has not been determined, the worker may continue to work after the expiration of the permission and shall be deemed not to be committing an offense under the principal law or this amending law, provided that the worker complies with the requirements under subsection 8. 8, the requirements referred to in subsection 7 are as follows. A, the worker shall comply with the requirements under Section 66(4)A or B of the law, and B, the worker shall apply for a renewal of the permission within 30 days of the commencement of this amending law, or within any other period by which this period is extended by Cabinet by notice published in the Gazette, in any other official government website or official means of communication, or any other government media.
The amendment has been duly moved. Does any member wish to speak thereto?
I didn't have time. I didn't have time to do it.
The question is that the amendment stand par the clause. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. The amendment stands par the clause. Does anyone wish to speak on the amendment?
Which amendment?
Same one.
But did we just vote?
If not, I will put the question. The question is that Clause 5 as amended stand part of the bill. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. The clause as amended stands part of the bill.
New clause 4A.
Honorable Premier, you have a
But
new clause? Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yes.
before we proceed.
Honorable Ard.
Basically, I don't believe this is a new clause. It's an addition. And standard orders makes provision that you have to change the title. the title of the bill to enter anything additional that is not related to the clauses of the bill. No, I don't know. I have brought this up on a number of occasions here, my good friend. 50, no, but it is required to form part of the bill, of the title. It says the committee to which a bill is referred shall not discuss its general merits and principles, but only its details. 2, a committee may make such amendments and additions to a bill as are relevant to its subject matter. But where a committee desires to make an amendment or addition which is not within the title of the bill, it shall amend the title accordingly and shall report the fact specially to the House. So I don't think this, the long title is the one is supposed to be changed.
I hear what the Leader of the Opposition says, Mr. Chairman, but this title says the Immigration Transition Amendment Bill. You can include anything related to immigration under that. If it is the title, that is the issue.
Mr. Chairman, I will leave it alone, but this is not the first time I've brought this to the attention of a committee on bills. There are a number of times I've brought it, and we just need to be careful. We've been here too long, that's our problem.
Yeah, I can make sure to tell the people East End you said that.
I'll make sure you never raise your weight again above water. In my case, it's a good thing. If yours is not.
I now call on the Premier to read the clause.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In accordance with the provisions of Standing Order 52.1 and 2, I give notice to move the following amendment to the Immigration Transition Amendment Bill 2020, that the bill be amended by inserting after Clause 4 the following clause: amendment of Section 72 Regulations 4A1. The principal law is amended in Section 72 by inserting after subsection 1 the following subsection 1A. If the Cabinet is satisfied that it is equitable that any regulation should have retrospective effect in order to confer a benefit upon or remove a disability attaching to any person or class of persons, that regulation may be given retrospective effect for that purpose.
Clause 4A, amendment of Section 72, regulations.
Clause shall be taken to have been read the first time. The new clause 1A having been read a first time, the question now is that this clause be read a second time. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. The clause is deemed to have been read a second time.
Clause be added to the bill.
I now call on the member to move the amendment has been.
Amendment. So this one, question that is a clause be added to the bill.
The question is that this clause be added to the bill as clause number 1A,
2A, 4A.
4A, and that the subsequent clauses be renumbered accordingly. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. Clause 4A is added to the bill.
bill for a law to amend the Immigration Transition Law 2018 and for incidental and connected purposes. Need a vote on the title?
The question is that the title do stand part of the bill. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. The title stands part of the bill.
National Pensions Amendment Bill 2020. Clause 1, short title and duration.
Honorable Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, in accordance with the provisions of Standing Order 52.1 and 2, I give notice to move the following amendments to the National Pensions Amendment Bill 2020. One, that the bill be amended in Clause 1, A, in the proposed subsection 1(2)(a), by deleting the words Sections 1 and 2 and substituting the words Sections 1, 2, 4, and 6. B, in the proposed subsection 1(2)(b), by deleting the words Sections 3, 4, 5, and 6, and substituting the words Sections 3 and 5. And C, in the proposed subsection 3, by deleting the words 30th November and substituting the words 31st October. 2, that the bill be amended in Clause 2. No, I gotta wait, right?
Yeah, you can take the vote on one.
Yeah, I gotta take the vote on one first.
The question is that the amendment do stand part of the bill. All those in favor, please say aye. Stand part of the clause. Those against, no. The ayes have it. The amendment as read stands part of the clause. Question is that the clause 1 as amended do stand part of the bill. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. The amendment stands part of the clause of the bill.
Clause 2, repeal and substitution of Part 1A of the National Pensions Law 2012 revision, suspension of pension contributions.
Honorable Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In accordance with the provisions of Standing Order 52.1 and 2, I give notice to move the following amendments to the National Pensions Amendment Bill 2020, that the bill be amended in Clause 2 as follows. A, in the proposed Section 5A, by deleting the words, the date of the expiry of Section 2 of the National Pensions Amendment Law 2020, and substituting the words 30th September 2020, or upon such later date as may be appointed by the order made by the Cabinet. B, in the proposed Section 5B in subsection 2, by inserting after the words a self-employed person, the words is a member of an approved pension plan or. And C, in the proposed Section 5C, by inserting after subsection 3 the following new proposed subsection. 4, this part shall not apply to a member or the member's employer where such member is a public servant as defined by Section 2 of the Public Authorities Law 2020 revision, with pension contributions under this law which were paid by a statutory authority or a government company as defined by Section 2 of the Public Authorities Law 2020 revision.
The amendment has been duly moved. Does any member wish to speak thereto? Honorable member from Northside.
Yeah, I just have one question, Mr. Chairman. If the law is going to expire on the 31st of October, would it be possible for Cabinet to extend this provision beyond the 31st of October? Or the only extension that Cabinet could give would be between the 30th of September to the 31st of October?
I would have thought the latter, but I'll yield to the AG. Because if that section of the law is gone, then any power given to Cabinet would have gone with it.
But so my question, therefore, that was my reading. Why won't we just change to September 20th to match the expiration of the law, 31st of October, and then there's no doubt?
That makes sense.
So if you look at clause 3, the law itself.
No, the law itself.
No, I just marked it. To show that Cabinet can extend the law beyond.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Honorable.
if I may refer the committee, and in particular Mr. Miller, to clause 1, 3 of the bill. This law shall expire on the 30th of November 2020, or upon such later date as may be appointed by order made by the Cabinet, and different dates may be appointed for different provisions of this law and in relation to different matters.
So Cabinet can change the expiration of the law from the 31st of October to any date it sees fit.
To some later date, yes.
But it is not allowing Cabinet to alter substantial legislation, although I understand you're providing the permission here, but the intention of the legislatures is that the law will expire on the 31st of October.
Right. So it's not altering the legislation, it's simply extending its application.
Okay. I wonder about the different dates, September, October, if they all matched up, I think it would be easy. Okay.
The question is that the amendment stand part of the clause. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. The amendment stands part of the clause. Does anyone wish to speak on the amendment? If not, I will put the question. The question is that clause 2 as amended stand part of the bill. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. The clause as amended stands part of the bill.
Clause 3, amendment of section 47, contribution rate. Clause 4, amendment of section 52D, additional contributions.
The question is that clauses 3 and 4 do stand part of the bill. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. Clause 3 and 4 do stand part of the bill.
Clause 5, insertion of Part 7B, emergency withdrawal of pension funds.
The honorable member for Down West had suggested an amendment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I will withdraw this amendment at this time based on the deliberations and the comments made by the Premier. At this point, so I withdraw this.
You got to ask permission of the House to withdraw it, of the committee.
So permission from the House to withdraw this amendment. Seek the permission of the House.
Does he need a seconder? No. So granted, the motion has been withdrawn. Clause 5 as read do start in part of the
Mr.
bill.
Chairman, I have a couple of questions.
I beg your pardon.
I have a couple.
Honorable member for Northside.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if the government would consider any redefinition of clause 5(2)(c). In other words, any alteration to a single lump sum payment.
Mr. Chairman, we all agree, I think, because certainly the leader of the opposition and the official opposition agreed as well, that the preferred course would be if people were able to get a monthly stipend. But all nine of the pensions providers told us categorically, both verbally in a Zoom meeting and subsequently in writing, that they simply do not have the capacity to do so. And what we're going to wind up with if we insist is that the people we are trying to help are going to wind up going for months without getting that assistance. I worry, we all worry about, as I say, people spending the money in ways that they ought not to. So that is a legitimate concern, but I think not giving them the money is, on balance, a worse alternative.
Do you think the pension administrators would consider some form of making a deposit in a bank account to which a debit card was issued that carried the withdrawal restrictions, i.e. may limit people to $1,000 a month or something?
I don't know if they would or not, but we're looking at another substantial delay. That much I can be sure of. The more bureaucracy that's in this, the longer it's going to take.
Well, just for the record, Mr. Chairman and the Premier, I don't accept the fact that the pension administrators don't have the resources to do it with, because they've been collecting the pension payments from their members on a monthly basis, and they're not going to be collecting any pension payments for the next several months. So what will they be doing? But anyway, I agree with the Premier in that if there's a certain amount of urgency getting it to them, but we're making these pension administrators get away with too much. Second thing I would ask them to consider is in the same clause in subsection 9B, if they were given a consideration to reducing the 45 days to 21 days. So you have 7 days to, after you receive it, to notify the person that you received it. And then they got 14 days, including that 7 days, to notify the applicant, right? Why do they need all these extra days simply to draw a check? Why don't we just give them another 7 days so the person would get the money in 21 days and not 45 days?
Mr. Chairman, it is the simpler question of writing a check. They've explained to us that they have to make redemptions. They got to convert some of these things into cash. And I really don't want, I mean, we've had a good exchanges. When I say good, I don't mean that everybody love up everybody. I mean frank discussions and debate about these issues with the providers. They wanted 60 days. We've reduced it to 45 because we think with a push they can do that. But we don't want to set an impossible target and then wind up in a mess with this. I think people will have the hope now, especially businesses and business owners, that the money is going to be available. They got to get a response within, they got to get an acknowledgement within 7 days. They got to get a response whether it's yes or no in 14 days. They can start and make plans. And they have to get a check within 45. It doesn't mean it'll take 45, but within 45.
The member from Central had asked.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, can the Honourable Premier hear him say the conversations he's had with the pension administrators? Did the pension administrators already agree to the 10,000 figure as well as the 45-day timeline?
No, they didn't agree to any of those.
Would you say what they?
The point I'm trying to make diplomatically is we've pushed them already.
Did they express an amount? Did they? Because what I'm concerned about, though this is in relations to the administrators, is that they obviously know how much they can turn around and how quickly they can turn around it, and setting up a false reality of what they can do may make people frustrated. So if they didn't say they can do it within 45 days with the expectations there's going to be thousands of people making an application, and then it's an unrealistic one, and if we can't follow through with it, you're gonna have a lot of upset Caymanians, as well as if they didn't agree with the 10,000, what did they agree to?
They essentially, what they proposed was that everybody could have the first 5,000, and then if you had more, you could get $10,000. We thought that was unrealistic. We thought that was not going to help very many people, and so we've proposed the first 10,000, and then if you have more, 25% of anything else that you have. So it's a substantial difference. It's not that they don't have the money. Obviously, they have the money. The question is redeeming it and getting it in liquid form, and getting it to the account holders. Our advisors have told us that they think 45 days is a reasonable period to do this. But the pension providers are not happy about the numbers. That's what I'm saying, is that we've already pushed them. We're just not making a big noise about it, but we didn't get here by agreement.
Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Well, I had one last one. Through you, Mr. Chair, the Honorable Premier may have remembered my concern about 521B, about the February 1st deadline of persons being able to have to be on island, or if you left before that you wouldn't be able to claim on this. And I think it was an unrealistic timeline, because you will have a few Caymanians who, for whatever circumstances, may have just left and wouldn't have had enough time to establish themselves in other jurisdictions. Isn't this something that we can consider potentially even 3 months back by changing that date? Because if a person left the day before, got to the United States, and the United States didn't even get into their apartment, chaos happened, they came back home, and they don't have anything, they're just going to end up at NAU's door, and we're going to have to take care of them. I mean, how long is it?
Mr. Chairman, this facility is available for 6 months. You don't have to claim it the minute. If they come back home, they can claim it.
Well, I'm glad to hear you say that, because I didn't read that this way, as if to say, so you're saying that if the person came back home, they can claim it?
Yes.
Okay, that solves the problem. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Chairman, I don't want to come to the aid of any providers, but I need to support the Premier and his position on this 4 to 5 days and the liquidity. In my previous life, I had to shut down my Provident Fund too, and it took 3 months to get it, because they have to redeem that investment to turn it into liquid cash to be able to pay me. And by that time, I'd lost nearly $300,000 in 3 months. So that tells you, it is a long period to get it, and I was the only one applying. So 4 to 5 days is quite ambitious, I should say.
Honorable Deputy Leader of the Opposition.
Yeah. I lost 300,000.
Mr. Chairman, I think my question has been addressed in the discussion so far.
The question is that Clause 5 do, as amended, stand part of the bill. All those in favor?
It wasn't amended.
Oh.
He removed his amendment. Just to clause 5, stand part of the bill.
The question is that Clause 5 do stand part of the bill. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. Ayes have it.
Clause 6, amendment of Section 95, regulations.
The question is that Clause 6 do stand part of the bill. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Hold this, eh?
Too late, it's okay.
So, sorry, Mr. Miller.
I just had a question but I think maybe B covers it in that section, that the future regulations under the National Pensions Law will be subject to to affirmative resolution, this will only apply to the regulations that you make under this law, which will fall away when the law falls away. Okay, no problem.
A bill for a law to amend the National Pensions Law 2012 revision to provide for the temporary suspension of pension contributions to enable specified members of a pension plan to withdraw a single lump sum amount from their account in the pension plan and for incidental and connected purposes.
Question is that the bill is, title does stand part of the bill. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. The question is that the bills be reported to the House. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. The bills will be accordingly reported to the House. The Honorable House does now resume. Please be seated. I now call on the Honorable Premier to suspend Standing Order 40. Oh, okay.
Report on bills. The Traffic Amendment Bill 2020.
Mr. Speaker, I am to report that a committee of the whole House has considered the bill, the Traffic Amendment Bill 2020, and it was passed without amendments.
That wasn't passed, that was approved. I'm not gonna change that.
That is a word.
Huh?
The Immigration Transition Amendment Bill 2020.
Mr. Speaker, I am to report that a bill entitled the Immigration Transition Amendment Bill 2020 was considered by a committee of the whole House and passed with amendment.
We could just see you in the back, you know.
Labor Amendment Bill 2020.
You move it.
Honorable Premier.
Mr. Chairman, I am to report that a bill entitled the Labor Amendment Bill 2020 was considered by a committee of the whole House and passed with amendment.
National Pensions Amendment Bill 2020.
Honorable Premier.
Mr. Chairman, I am to report that a bill entitled the National Pensions Amendment Bill 2020 was considered by a committee of the whole House and passed with amendment.
Customs and Border Control Amendment Bill 2020.
Honorable Premier.
Mr. Speaker, I am to report that a bill entitled the Customs and Border Control Amendment Bill 2020 was considered by a committee of the whole House and passed without amendment.
Suspension of Standing Order 47 to enable the bills to be read a third time.
Honorable Premier,
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move the suspension of Standing Order 47-5 in order that one moment, Mr. Speaker, let's make sure we're suspending the right standing order. The clerk is assisting.
47. I think we read that.
Mm-hmm.
47.
Try again, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move the suspension of Standing Order 47 in order that bills may be taken through a third reading in one sitting.
The question is that Standing Order 47 be suspended in order that the bills may be taken through the third reading. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those against, no. The ayes have it. The motion has been suspended.
Third readings, Traffic Amendment Bill 2020.
Honorable Minister of Commerce.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the bill shortly entitled the Traffic Amendment Bill 2020 be read a third time and passed.
The question is that the bill shortly entitled the Traffic Amendment Bill be given a third reading and pass. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those against, no. The ayes have it. The Traffic Amendment Bill 2020 has been read a third time and is passed.
The Immigration Transition Amendment Bill 2020.
Honorable Premier.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that a bill entitled the Immigration Transition Amendment Bill 2020 be given a third reading and passed. Getting late.
The question is that a bill shortly entitled the Immigration Transition Amendment Bill 2020 be given a third reading and pass. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. The Immigration Transition Amendment Bill 2020 has been read a third time and is passed.
Labor Amendment Bill 2020.
Honorable Premier.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that a bill entitled the Labor Amendment Bill 2020 be given a third reading and passed.
The question is that a bill shortly entitled the Labor Amendment Bill 2020 be given a third reading and passed. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The ayes have it. The Labor Amendment Bill 2020 has been read a third time and is passed.
National Pensions Amendment Bill 2020.
Honorable Premier.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that a bill entitled the National Pensions Amendment Bill 2020 be given a third reading and passed.
The question is that a bill shortly entitled the National Pensions Amendment Bill 2020 be given a third reading and passed. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Speaker, call for a division.
Those against, no. The ayes have it.
I call for a division.
Madam Clerk, can we please have a subdivision, or do I read the third time and pass?
Subdivision.
Honorable Alden McLaughlin.
Premier.
Aye.
Oh, where am I at? Oh, man. Honorable Moses Kirkconnell.
Aye.
Honorable Juliana O'Connor Connolly. Aye. Honorable Dwayne Seymour.
Aye.
Honorable Roy McTaggart.
Aye.
Honorable Joseph Hugh.
Aye.
Honorable Tara Rivers. Aye. Captain Eugene Ebanks.
Aye.
Miss Barbara Connolly. Aye. Mr. David White.
Aye.
Mr. Austin Harris.
Aye.
Honorable Arden McLean.
Aye.
Mr. Alva Saku.
Aye.
Mr. Kenneth Bryan. Mr. Christopher Saunders.
Aye.
Mr. Ezra Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Barney Bush.
Aye.
I guess, Lord, we'll get to that point. If there's no controversy, you want, you want to see who read, who does it, there's nobody left to
Thank you. The division is 17 ayes, unanimous. Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Customs and Border Control Amendment Bill 2020.
Honorable Premier.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move the third reading of the Customs and Border Control Amendment Bill 2020 and request that it be passed.
The question is that the bill on border control be given a third reading and pass. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those against, no. The bill has been read a third time and is passed.
Nomination and election of Deputy Speaker.
Nomination of a member as Deputy Speaker of the Cayman Islands Legislative Assembly under Section 65(1) of the Cayman Islands Constitution Order 2009. Thank you. I now call for nominations for the election of the Deputy Speaker of the Legislative Assembly. Nominations are now open. Honorable Premier.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, I beg to nominate Mrs. Barbara Elizabeth Connolly, the member for Georgetown South, as Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Premier. There's a nomination. Is there a seconder?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. I second that nomination.
The nomination has been made and seconded. We have a nomination and a seconder of the elected member for Georgetown South as Deputy Speaker. Does the elected member for Georgetown South accept the nomination?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I humbly accept the nomination.
Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? If there are no more nominations, can I ask for a motion to close the nomination process? Premier, you want to close the nomination process?
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the nominations be closed. The nominations be closed, yes.
All those agreed that the nomination be closed, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, no. Madam Clerk. All that's me? Oh. As there's only one nomination, I will declare the elected member for Georgetown South as the Deputy Speaker of the Cayman Islands Legislative Assembly. Thank you, and the elected member for Georgetown South is hereby elected as Deputy Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, can I just give some brief remarks, please?
Please feel free.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. First of all, I would like to thank the Almighty God for His mercies, His grace, and His protection over each and every one of us as we continue to face these most challenging times during the COVID-19 pandemic. I would like to thank the Honourable Premier for nominating me for this prestigious role, and the member for Prospect for seconding that nomination. To my Unity Government colleagues, thank you for your support. A special thank you to the member for Prospect, who also played a vital part in this process. To my fellow lady members, the Honourable Minister of Education and the Honourable Minister of Financial Services, thank you for your words of encouragement. To my colleagues across the floor, a big thank you for your support. And to our primary speaker and member for West Bay West, thank you for your advice and guidance. Last but certainly not least, a massive thank you to my family, who has always supported me in any decision that I have made in my life, whether it is in the political arena or otherwise. I am deeply humbled by the confidence expressed by the members of this esteemed Legislative Assembly, and I pledge to you, my colleagues, and to my constituents of Georgetown South, and to the wider Cayman Islands, to do all that I can to maintain the integrity of this high office, and I will work fervently towards the smooth running of this honourable House. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. A couple of remarks before we come to the adjournment. I've been notified that Ms. Rinda Hides passed away this evening. Made to understand she is the aunt of the Honourable West Bay North member, Mr. Bernie Bush. Also, she was the lady that raised Miss Cindy Scotland. So on behalf of this honourable House, I would like to extend our deepest sympathies to that family, or those families. I would like to also thank, on behalf of the House Sergeant at Arms, I made to understand he and Mr. Wilkes worked tirelessly last night to get this wonderful system going that they trained me on today. You did a great job. And I know that the clerk was there cheering you on. I know this is unorthodox, but when my colleague, the member from Bordentown West, brought up in his debate the situation on what's happening with fuel, all of you, my colleagues, know how I feel on off-reg. I just hope to goodness the powers that be, that when they saw that 1 barrel of oil went down to $1.03, that they get their eyes open and find out when we are selling 1 gallon for $6 US. I see refuel, it's got theirs now under or close to $3. And the last thing, on behalf of the 3 eastern districts, eastern, north side, Bordentown, and eastern part of Georgetown, I wish and beg that Cayman National Bank would consider helping the people from those 3 districts, having to come from all the way, go down to Cayman Bay, stand in the sun, stand in the rain, and then come midday, that they close the doors I'm just begging this as a situation. I can't tell them what to do, but I think it is a part of humanity that we get our act together. In this time, when I see what this government is doing to make things good for the Cayman Islands, we need to put these people on the spot and get their act together. I now call on the Honorable Premier for the...
Mr. Speaker, we hear you. Thank you. I hope everyone else does. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for agreeing to sit as the presiding officer these two very historic days in unprecedented circumstances. And despite your fear about technology, I think you have done quite well.
Sarge, help me out good.
With the Zoom. So thank you very much, sir. With that, I want to also thank all honorable members for the incredible way that we have managed to work together and get through this very important, critical agenda to benefit the Cayman Islands and the people that we all represent so passionately. Thank you all, honorable members. I wish everyone continued safety and all the very best as we strive to represent our respective constituents and the Cayman Islands as a whole through this most dangerous, perilous of times. Mr. Speaker, with that, I bid everyone good night and move the adjournment of this honorable House sine die.
The question is that this honorable House do adjourn now sine die. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those against, no. The ayes have it.